That's right. Today we're comparing the mightiest machines of Update 1.77. In the red corner, the Soviet T-64 Bravo. In the left corner, the American MBT called the M1 Abrams. Both vehicles sit at a battle rating of 9.3. That's as high as you can get. Which machine makes for a better tank? Let's start with the looks. The Abrams is a bit higher and a bit longer. The size of the Soviet tank isn't as impressive, but at least it has great camo. Joking aside, in the first round, the winner is the T-64B. It gets half a point. Why just half? These vehicles aren't that different when it comes to size. It's just that the T-64 has a smaller turret, which is much easier to hide. Okay, the T-64B opens the scoring with a glorious half of a point. And we move on to some mobility tests. Ready, steady, go! The Abrams immediately takes the lead. It only takes 12 seconds and a 1,519 horsepower engine to get this 54-ton beast to a 50 kmph speed. And that's when driving on rough terrain. Great performance. The T-64B does it best, but fails to impress. Even though it's 15 tons lighter, its 700 horsepower engine allows it only to get to 40 kph, and that's in 13 seconds. What about going in reverse? Not that we'll need it. Of course we will need it. The American machine wins again. 40 kilometers an hour in 6 seconds. The T-64 gets to 4 kph in 1 second. And that's it. Just 4 kmph. Can't go faster than that. Okay, maybe the situation will change when we check the time needed to turn around? Nope. The American is still in the lead. Flawless victory, and 2 well-earned points. 0.5 to 2. Now let's see how much destruction these two can cause. The T-64B carries an impressive 125mm 2A46M gun. The American machine has an equally deadly 105mm M68A1 gun. Okay, what about shells? Here's where the Soviet tank starts to shine. The top-tier 3BM22 APFSDS at 100 meters penetrates up to 470mm of armor. The rival's M774 round can only pierce up to 410mm. Apart from that, the T-64 can also use HEATs and HE rounds. The Abrams, HEATs, HESH rounds, as well as M416 smoke rounds. Sounds like a draw, right? Wrong. The Soviet beast also carries 5 9M112 ATGMs that penetrate up to 650mm of armor. That kind of power is nothing to sneeze at. A few words about reload speed. It takes an Abrams 5 seconds to reload. The T-64, 7.1 seconds. And what about turret traverse speed? The American machine is still in the lead. 40 degrees per second in comparison with the T-64's 24 degrees per second. We think that it's fair if the T-64 gets 2 points for its shells and ATGMs, while the Abrams gets a point for a better reload time and faster turret rotation. 2.5 to 3 in favor of the American team. The next thing to compare is the survivability of the vehicles. The T-64B has a crew of 3, a commander, a gunner, and a driver. The Abrams has no autoloader, so it gets an extra crew member, a loader. Now let's take a look at armor. The lower front plate of the American machine has 380mm of protection against kinetic munitions and 600mm against HDATs. The upper front plate has only 190 millimeters, but let's say it's not the simplest of tasks to hit it. The T-64B has comparable defenses. For example, the Armour face has 440 millimeters of protection against kinetic energy projectiles and 500 millimeters against heat rounds. When it comes to turrets, though, it gets a bit more complex. The turret of the Soviet tank has 440 millimeters of protection against kinetic munitions and 500 millimeters against HEAT rounds. But the turret of the Abrams is also protected from the sides. It's not much, but in combat every small thing counts. Furthermore, the American mantlet has better protection, despite its considerable size. Moreover, the Abrams has blowout panels, a huge advantage actually. They might save your life if an enemy hits the ammo stored in the rear of the turret. The last things to check are secondary armaments and additional equipment. Both tanks have AA capability with their 12.7mm machine guns. Both can create smoke screens. Let's see, the Soviet machine gets a point. The American tank gets a point and a half for an extra crew member and the blowout panels. It's time to strike a balance, isn't it? T-64B, 3.5 points. The Abrams, 4. Despite having an impressive array of shells, the T-64B requires you to be a bit more careful, and the sluggish reverse and slow reload speed mean that you simply don't have as much room for error when engaging an enemy. Do you agree? Tell us in the comments below, and see you in battle.